Hello there, it's Jan from JB Crafts. Thank you for joining me today. I have a very simple design, clean and simple today, lots and lots of white space on the card, and it's one that's not always the easiest for us to make, so I thought I'd pop this on the channel. I know when I was at Crafters TV, I used to get asked a lot about sympathy cards. It's something that we all have to make as card makers every so often, you know, it's part of life. But I know a lot of people do find it difficult knowing what to put on them. So this is how I normally address it. And unfortunately, I have had to make, you know, one or two for this particular theme. But I do tend to play with the white quite a lot. This has got a tiny little bit of colour in it just to break it up a little bit. Now I'm very conscious that the white doesn't always show up as well as it could on camera, but it's just got a couple of layers, a little bit of interest in the background, and then a cluster of images on the front there. And I've just popped a very straightforward piece inside, just to write a message on for the recipient. But yeah, just wanted it on the channel just to have it in there as a go-to if anybody ever needs it. And it can be done in so many different ways. You know, if you're not for the white, you could choose a different color. It could very easily be turned into a clean and simple design for any occasion. You know, it doesn't have to be a sympathy card. So let me show you how I've made it. It is a shop bought style, this one. I tend to buy these scalloped edge cards in packs. I do like them for something that's a little bit more, you know, sort of rather than just everyday stuff. So this is actually from a 6x6 pack. It's just under, because it's normally the envelopes that measure 6x6. So it's just a tad underneath. And then they come already pre-scored. So it's just a case of folding it in half, giving it a nice burnish with that burnishing tool, and you've got your card blank ready to go. And then I've just created a couple of matte layers, still staying in the white card. This is my smooth white cardstock. And I'm going to put this one flat straight on the back at 5 3/8 square. So it's left a nice border around the outside. Now you could bring a colour in here if you wish. If you don't like the amount of white, you could always put a complementary colour in this layer. I would normally do my layering in colour to pick out what I'm doing on the card. But in this instance, I just wanted to stay with the white so that it's all nice and uniform. So I'm just going to centre that and leave that one to dry, and then we're going to work on that top layer. So this is another piece of the same cardstock, that smooth white cardstock, and this one measures 4 7/8 square. So it's got a nice decent size 1/4 inch border all the way around it, and we're going to elevate this one on a little bit of foam just to create that tiny sort of drop shadow behind it. But before I do that, I want to work on this piece. So I'm going to pop that one out of the way to dry. And I've got several cut-in background dies. So I had a look through these and came up with this one with the little sort of harlequin diamonds on. So we're going to cut that into the front first. So I need a little bit of my low tack tape to pop this in place. And then we're going to pop this through the Gemini. So I've brought it about 1/4 inch up from the bottom and maybe 1/4 inch in from the side there, and get that as straight as we can. And then I'm just going to pop a little bit of tape on that so that it doesn't move, and then pop that through my Gemini. Now a lot of you know, if you've watched my channel, the Gemini does sit behind me, so I have got to just pop round and put this through behind me. So I've got my plates there, and we will pop that straight through the Gemini. You can hear it there behind me. It's just the layout of my craft room. I don't have room for it. It would be nice to have it at the side of me, but I just don't have a space there at the side of me. So it stays where it is. It works for me. It just means that I'm off camera. I don't have a second camera set up or anything like that at the moment. So then we're just going to ease that one out. I'm going to take the tape away and just roll that back out of the way so that it doesn't snag the surface of that card there. And the same with the bottom one. I find if I roll it, it doesn't tend to sort of snag the card like it does sometimes with other tapes. I've got a little bit being a bit stubborn there, so I just want to get rid of that bit as well. There we go. and then we can take these, and we've got all the little diamonds pop out now. So those are waste. You could save these if you were making a little shaker design. These could go back behind the window as the part of the shaker elements, but I am not needing those for the time being, so we're going to get rid of those ones. And then we can just get that die off now, just nice and gently, and again turn it over and you can just release it out of there. So we can see now that that's cut in, and it's just left that nice kind of patterning in the background. And then I'm going to put some pattern paper behind there, and again I've gone for something very neutral. It's almost like a grey green, nice piece that I'm going to pop behind here so that that shows through the gap. Now it's not quite wide enough, so I'm just going to pop that piece as well in at the side of it there, probably just to cover it up, so we don't need that to be as big. I'm just going to cut it down, and then I can use both of those in the background. So what I want to do is a little bit of glue around this side first. So I'm going to go round all the diamonds so that I've got somewhere to anchor that first piece, making sure they've all been treated to a little bit of the acrylic glue. And I'm just using the acrylic because it has the fine tip on. And then this one is just going to cover as much of it as I can behind there, like so. And then I'm just going to use that other bit because it's on the back. Nobody would know that it's in two pieces there. So this one is going to go on here like so. And we've got all those little diamonds covered now, so that when we look from this side you can see that bit of interest behind it. And then what I'm going to do is pop that up on some foam tape. So which one shall we use? We'll use the wider one, I think. A couple of the large rolls of foam tape from Sticks 2. I tend to buy it in large rolls, and then cut off what I need, and then we're just going to pop this around that outside edge. So I've just cut off a long strip. I find it easier than trying to juggle that big roll around, especially on camera. It always ends up knocking something over. I'm going to go around the edge there like so, and then we'll put what's left into the middle. So I'll just cut that bit in half, and it is that way up. So I'm just going to put a couple of bits in there just to bolster that middle section, and then we can take all the edges off that one. So we'll just remove the release paper off here, and then I'm just going to settle that one on top of that panel that we've just stuck to the card base. Now I've just realised there's a step that I want to do, and I can do that now. It would have been easier to do before I put the foam tape on, but I just want to add a little tiny suggestion of colour round the edge, and you've seen me do this in videos before, so that this layer stands away from the background layer. Just going to bring in my metallic marker pens here. This is a Spectrum Noir metallic one in silver ingot, and all I'm going to do is take the larger brush nib and just run it around the outside of the card. And what it does, it creates the effect of a faux layer, and it just raises it. It just sort of brings it away from that background card enough to suggest that there's a bit of something going on behind it. It's not a lot, just a suggestion. And when I pop that over the white now, you'll see the difference in it. Oh, Jan, you took the tape off. There we go. So we bring the card blank back in, and then I'm going to centre that over the top so that we've got a nice even border all the way around, and then pop that one down. But you can just see now how that edging just gives it a little bit of a lift. Now the biggest issue I have when I'm making this kind of design is keeping my hands nice and clean. When you're working with white like this, and any of you that know me know that I'm usually covered in ink, so I'm doing pretty well today. but we've got that down there. And then it's just a case of deciding what embellishments you want to use. So again, I've got my little pot of tricks here, and I have used a Sizzix die. This is designed by Tim Holtz. This is the Wildflower Stems #1, and I've used this one in the middle here. They are actually larger than what they are on the packet, and I've cut that a couple of times in white, and that's going to be my main kind of element on the card here. So that is that one. I can put that back in the packet there now. And then I've also, to bring it away from the background, I've cut a little tag in some vellum. So this one's actually been cut from here, and that is from a set from Creative Expressions. So this is actually Shabby Basics Tattered Tags by Sam Poole. And I go to this one such a lot when I'm making tags. It's got different sizes in there. And you've also got the elements if you wish to make the little ring reinforcers at the top. Now I didn't need that this time. I have just cut one of those out, and I've cut that in vellum, and I'm just going to pop that behind here just to give a subtle lift and separate this from the rest of the card. And then I've got my sentiment, which I've done from my little mini sentiments. I love these. They're really, really nice. Just taking the with sympathy there, and I've cut that out with a little die, and we're going to pop that one on here as well, like so. And then I've just introduced a tiny bit of silver matte card to tie in with the background and add a little bit more detail. So we'll get all those popped down. So the first thing I'm going to do is use my dot runner on the back of the vellum. So I'm just going to run a couple of bits of the dots there on the back, and this doesn't show through too badly, so it's a nice one. People often struggle with what they're going to use on vellum. And then I want the tag pointing this way, so I am literally just going to pop that here, and I can use the diamonds to see that it's reasonably straight. Okay, and then we're going to go with the flower. Now I do need to just do a little bit of flower surgery because it's a wee bit too long, so I'm just going to snip the bottom of the stem off there so that I'm making it the right height for the card. And I've cut this twice and stuck them together, so it's a little bit more robust than just one die cut. And again, I'm going to pop the acrylic glue with the fine tip applicator on the back here so that we can add this on to the card. So just glue in relevant places, and if I've got something very delicate like this, I do often just tap it off on my cloth at the side of me here, and then we're going to pop that one so that it goes straight through the middle of that design there, and then I can just pop that little brick on top of there to get it nice and flat. So the little butterfly, I am just going to put a tiny bit of glue behind the center of it, like so. That one's just going to go in the gap here. And then I've got some tape on the back of my sentiment here, just some red line tape. We'll take that release paper off there, and then I can position this one, that's been very friendly, on the card. So I'm going to go right across where the hole's been punched in the tag there, because I don't particularly want to put anything else in there. So I'm just going to nestle that in and lay it down very gently, and then just bring in my ruler there and make sure, just excuse my head. Yeah, I think we're reasonably straight there. It doesn't look too bad before I actually commit to pressing that down. Okay, so very clean and simple. That is pretty much it. What I am going to do is just add a bit more decoration to it. And I'm just going to show you an alternative to actually adding pearls. You know me and my pearls. It has to have, even if it's a sympathy card, it's still got to have the pearls. So I went through the stash and pulled out some grey ones there. Got quite a large one in the middle of the flower, and then just the 5 that scatter through to bring your eye from the design here through to the top. Now, if you're wanting to post this, this can sometimes be an issue because obviously that one's got quite a lot of depth to it. So what I've also got in my stash is this particular die, which again is one of these cut-in shapes here. Well, actually this cuts the whole shape out, but it cuts all the circles out as well. So I keep the little circles, and because we'd worked with the silver mirror card, I've actually got some of those circles cut in the silver mirror, and this is a way of decorating without actually creating much more dimension on your card. So I've got quite a decent size one that I'm going to use. I just felt the center of the flower needed something. Again, I'm going to pop off, I just keep my cloth here, pop off any extra glue, and I'm going to use this for the center of the flower this time rather than a pearl. And then again, I like to just come through, and from the bottom here I like to just scatter them through. From here we'll go onto the actual vellum, we'll come onto the vellum up here, we'll come out there, and we'll finish up at the top. And I'm just going to add those little pieces on now, and we can compare the two. So I've got some slightly smaller sizes. I'm going to start off with the small one right at the bottom here. Then I've got the next size up, slightly larger one for the middle, then down to that other size in, and then back down to a smaller one. So again, it's a way, like I said, of adding a bit of dimension. I know I'm always harping on about the pearls. I love them, and they go on nearly all my cards, but I know not everybody's got them. And this was a way of actually adding that little bit of interest there, just without the dimension of the pearls. If you're wanting to keep it, you know, flatter. If you want it totally flat, you can omit the foam layer in between these two and keep the whole thing flat. But there we go. That's the one that I've just made compared to the one that had the pearls on. So virtually the same idea, just the pearls that are different. And then this one I'd popped inside my panel, which I've just stamped so that I can pop a message inside there for the recipient. So really nice and easy, really straightforward. As I say, could be adapted for any occasion. If you just want something quick, something nice and simple, without sort of doing too much work, it gives a really nice impression. You know, this could be any style of flower die that you've got. It doesn't have to be a tag. If you don't have the tags, you could just put a rectangle, use a nesting die to put an interesting shape behind there. Again, you know, you may have the little cutout pieces for the sentiments. You can do them on your laptop or PC if you want to print them out and cut them out. So many different ways. But yeah, I just thought that one it's not an easy card to make, but as card makers we do come across it. So I hope you enjoyed it. Consider giving it a thumbs up for me if you enjoyed the tutorial today. A bit quicker for you for this one. And I will be back very, very soon with another video for you to watch. Bye for now.